Hello, welcome back to Circling Seattle Sports. A day that I didn't really think would come has happened, and the Mariners have extended catcher Cal Raleigh for 6 years, $105 million per Adam Jude. It can go up to $123 million, I believe is what I saw. Ken Rosenthal, we've got a bunch of different little pieces here and there. The initial deal was tweeted by Jeff Passan. I almost said Jerry Passan. Hey, baby. Ken Rosenthal says that it's a full no trade clause for Cal. It buys out 3 years of free agency. It starts this season. Um, it's a $10 million signing bonus, so he gets a nice little chunk. I mean, I could go through the years one by one. It is kind of funny. He'll make $1 million this season, and then go up to 11 next year, 12 the year after that, 23 through from 2028 through 2030, and then 20 million as a vesting player option with a $2 million buyout. So, of course, for Cal, I have to bring out Brittany to talk about a catcher. Brittany, we didn't really think this was going to happen.
No.
A few days before opening day, this gets done. It's not official yet. The Mariners have been teasing the hell out of it though, with a bunch of Cal Raleigh posts. I love Cal Raleigh like the next guy does. So like I understand the Cal Raleigh appreciation posts. Like it'll become, I'm sure they'll probably do it the day of just to spur more. But yeah, I mean, your thoughts on this and the deal itself because it seems pretty decently friendly.
Yeah, the deal itself leaves room, knock on wood, for them to spend money elsewhere within the next year or two. Should they feel so inclined to do so, not going to assume that they will. But I mean, basically, they next year he would have been arbitration two, so that's 11 million. So that's about right. And then in 2027 would have been arb three for him. That's a 12 million. I mean, that's less than what he would have gotten in arbitration for that year. So it is backloaded, not quite like the Dodgers have been doing, but in that style. And then it kind of after that becomes like a 3 year, $69 million with a 20 million vesting player option for 31. So 3 years, 69 is nice.
Nice.
Yeah. That is a great deal I mean, it's a great deal for Cal. It gives him some security. There's a lot of conversation about a potential lockout in the future. And so that's probably really nice to have, knowing that you've got your paychecks for the next however many years. Um, and it is a great deal for the Mariners, and it is an awesome deal for the fans. So it is absolutely great to have. He's our guy. I mean, he is as much of our guy as anyone ever has been going back to Griffey. Julio is obviously the superstar and the face, and Cal is just kind of the fans guy. And I sometimes feel like that relationship with Cal is a lot more intimate
Mm,
than it is with Julio, and it's just because Cal's a little more relatable. Um,
yeah.
and a lot of us can, and in general, that's just kind of the case when you're talking a catcher versus a superstar center fielder. So this is huge. I could not be happier. I've been begging for this to happen for a multitude of reasons that we'll get into, but this is just a huge win for everyone.
Yeah, with the contract at least, I was interested to see where it stacked up when it first got announced. I was just kind of in a frenzy when it first got announced because I didn't think it was going to happen, let alone on that day. But this puts Cal both in value and an annual value, at third in baseball behind
Mhm.
Salvi and JT Realmuto, which that's fine. I mean, like you said, it gives him the security. I know Cal's a humble guy, but he'd want to be a little more comfortable than what he's got. Um, and yeah, I mean everything I've known about Cal Raleigh, uh, including throwing Brittany under the bus about his gear, is that he wants to be here. I mean, that's been made apparently obvious, and I think I put this in our piece about him in the extension was both publicly and privately. Cal Raleigh has wanted to be here, whether it's as Brittany pointed out during the Winter Classic, coming back to Seattle and being present for that. Excuse me. The photos you'll see of him at was like baseball camps. You know when he doesn't have to be here, right? For little kids, it was really funny. We've been working with Simply Seattle a little bit more. I'm the official on that yet. But I remember talking to them and like, hey, we've got this Cal Raleigh thing on Tuesday. I was like, wow, like he must really like you guys if he's gonna be there a few days before opening day. It's like, yeah, he really loves the brand. They they get a really good event with him having that deal announced the day of. And he said he's wanted to be here, whether
For
it's on
real.
the radio. Um, there's just so much stuff about him wanting to be here, right? So, yeah, I mean,
Yeah, he's
maybe not,
invested in the community. And
and I was gonna say maybe not. It's not the same team, but I know that with the Seahawks and with big changes there, a lot of folks have been like, keep guys who want to be here, and that goes here too. Um, it is just funny, Brittany, to have a franchise that hasn't really had a winning week, not in terms of results. They've had their hot streaks, but a winning week PR wise, and not PR team either. The PR team's great. They're good people. Um,
yeah, yeah,
in a while, right? Like I don't know when the last time they had something like this with, maybe not this one feels mean to include, but getting rid of Mitch Haniger's contract, not getting rid of it because they have to pay it still, but cutting that,
sure, sure. Yeah.
the root app, Cal, like there's a lot of good that they've done recently, and it's just kind of weird. The whole fan base is kind of like, hey, what's happening here?
Is their last big win the Julio extension?
I have to think so. Like,
Trying to think of something between then and now. I'm coming up blank.
not no. I almost put a sarcastic bit and said hot dogs from heaven.
Oh,
Oh my God.
I know some people that would have feelings about that.
It's just, you know, um, yeah, man. I don't know. It's interesting. I see some people who are like, "Hey, is this change happening before our eyes?" And you get the things like, did this new app pay for this? No, that
No.
it would not act that quickly. Um, I don't know what is next though, because you've got some guys that are up and eligible. I think the most I don't know if logical is right, but yeah, I'd say logical. The most logical and answer that makes sense to me is Logan. I mean,
Yeah.
how do you think that's possible? Because I don't know if they've approached him about that yet, from what I understand. And
Yeah.
his name has unfortunately been thrown around in trade talks. I remember seeing him at the deadline. Like, I hate the deadline because you sit there in the clubhouse and you're looking at guys and you're trying to see if anyone's like wearing street clothes or
Mm.
like packing, right? And Logan, we got done with the trade deadline, and Logan's like, "Guess I'm still here." I'm like, "You big goofy bastard!"
He really wants to be a Mariner. Perhaps even more than Cal, because he's a pitcher. And he probably wants to pitch in this ballpark for as long as he can. I mean, it makes sense. His numbers, any pitcher's numbers, are going to be better at T-Mobile Park. Um, and the Mariners, say what you will about the way they develop offense, they develop pitchers really well. And I think everything from Woody to Trent Blake have been very instrumental in Logan becoming the pitcher he is today. So I think it makes incredible sense for Logan to be next. I could see it happening. Um, I would imagine that that is probably sold to Logan and or Cal as their I mean, Cal is not going to sign an extension unless he has hope about the Mariners' future. Like, he is a
Hmm.
competitor.
Hmm.
If he looked at the Mariners and said, what the hell is the future going to look like? I don't know, or I'm discouraged by it, I'm not signing, that it's not going to happen. But if you give some idea to him that, yeah, Logan's going to be next, you're going to have your buddy, as much as Cal pretends like he's like the annoying younger brother, they're best friends. We know that. Um, and that's your workhorse, right? That's your Cy Young caliber workhorse that Cal gets to catch for the next how 5, 6, 7 years.
Logan will have 10 pitches by then.
Yeah, probably. God,
Freak.
that's another podcast. Yeah. So yes, I think Logan is next. Between him and George, I do think it would be Logan. I think Logan's
Yeah.
been very vocal about being here. He possesses the leadership qualities that I think this organization really looks for. And him and Cal are a really fantastic duo to lead this team with Julio in center field. That's that is an incredible package, so to speak, to sell to other players should you decide you want to dip your toe in free agency at some point, anytime. I'm not going to say that they will, but uh, that's a good selling point. Not only do you have your superstar center fielder, you have an absolute stud at the front of your rotation and the best catcher in baseball, not one of, the best catcher in baseball with impeccable leadership qualities, who has chosen to stay in Seattle, regardless of the ballpark, regardless of whatever, we say about hitting in Seattle. Cal, the best hitting catcher in baseball, has chosen to stay here. So it's all a fantastic package. And frankly, Logan does need to be next. I think that needs to be the very next thing they do.
So you tweeted something yesterday about, this is a dangerous word, optimism.
I
Okay.
know.
Um, for Spot Track, the lovely tool that Spot Track is. I love discovering new tools on Spot Track. Cal Raleigh's deal with the Mariners at 6 years, 105 million, is the sixth largest total value contract in Mariners history, behind some fun names. There's some fun names here. Robinson Cano at 240 big ones. Obviously, there's Julio's deal that can still go up. Um, Felix, Robbie, uh, I said Robbie. That could be two players on this list. Robbie Ray,
It can
Luis
be.
Castillo, and Cal. So, I don't know how much optimism do you have, both in terms of getting things done and then for a deal, and then for this deal, because I know we
Yeah.
talked about the money. Um, I don't mean to be a pessimist, but I have to look at the other side of this contract, right? I know my buddy RJ, when Joey DeCord signed his deal, right? He always gets really worried about signing goaltenders to term. And I know you could be the pessimist and say, this guy gets beat the hell up. Like, they kick the shit out of this guy on a daily basis. I think there have been, like, the majority of this fan base has wanted this extension, right? There's like one or two little voices in the corner that are like, this is a bad idea. Don't sign him. What are your thoughts on that? Just
Yeah.
given what we've seen from Cal? Because it feels like seeing his pitch framing last year and hearing how he went to Austin Hedges and how much of a freak he is to get better was one thing. So I'm asking
Yeah.
you a two-parter in your optimism for just generally the future, because again, you talk about Logan, you talk about the core that this team does have, but also, do you play into any of the
Yeah.
pessimism about the
Yeah.
deal?
I understand it. I think it's valid. I hear where people are coming from. Catchers don't age well. Can tell you from experience. With that said, if there's a catcher who is going to work his ass off to stay healthy and to treat his body right and to do everything he can to stay on the field, it's Cal. Um, you have the bat on top of that. So, say he can't squat behind home plate in 5 years. Uh, throw him a first base glove. You could do it sooner than that. And we've talked about that. So I understand like it can be risky having locked up a catcher for this long. I get it. He's the right one to do it and to take that risk with. And I am extremely confident that the Mariners will get all the value in the world out of Cal Raleigh and this contract. This was the right player to do it with and the right way to do it. I can hear where people are coming from. You have to also think about what he brings off the field. And it's invaluable. You really can't measure
Mhm.
it. We can't measure it on Baseball Savant, but the leadership that he brings is just it is next level. I think about the last game of 2024. He's exhausted, right? He
Yeah.
just wraps up 35 home runs, 100 ribbies, and is absolutely beat down. There's that shot of him in the dugout, just like the life has drained from his eyes. He put everything into the 2024 season, and they came up empty. They didn't make the playoffs. And Jen asked him at the end of the game, well, doing her job, looking for something positive. Hey, man, you hit 35 homers. You had 100 ribbies. Did that come close to your goals? And easiest answer in the world for him is no, I don't have individual goals. I just want to stack as many wins for this team as possible. That is that is the exact kind of messaging and base that you want to build your team on. And he is going to spread that and be your captain, whether they put an official C on his chest or not. He is going to be the captain and he is going to create that expectation for any players that come and go through the Mariners organization over the next 6 years. The expectation is going to be, you know, team before me. So he brings so much more than that we can look up on Baseball Savant, but that's something that also needs to be talked about. The first part of your question, how optimistic am I? More than I was before, cautiously, perhaps. Because again, I really don't think Cal signs this unless he feels good about the Mariners' future. So it gives me a little bit of hope into what the players are perhaps seeing internally and perhaps maybe what they're being told. Cal's a smart guy. I don't think you can bullshit Cal. So I that is probably my biggest reason for optimism. That and it's just he's our guy. And now we know we have our guy for at least 6 years. And that feels really good.
It is funny, just looking at something, and the Mariners branding is Julio and Cal. So yeah, no, I
Yeah.
mean it's pretty remarkable. Before anything else, is there anything else you wanted to touch on? Because my last thing is Cal Raleigh the best catcher in Mariners history? Like, if he's not already, he
Yeah,
will pretty soon. Like, it's pretty remarkable. It's also funny. I didn't realize this until later in the day. The Cal extension came on Dan Wilson's birthday.
it did.
Like, and someone was talking to me that day because it's like, oh, I'm sure his relationship with Cal helped. I'm like, I don't think it hurt. You know, it's it's
Yeah.
interesting.
Let's talk about that. I think that
Okay.
I had texted with you, I think in August, um, about a conspiracy theory I had
Mm.
about Cal having some sort of say in the managerial
Oh, yes.
hire. And I won't go into my conspiracy theory, but I do think having Dan Wilson at the helm is probably a huge factor in him wanting to sign this extension. And it's not any comment on Cal's relationship with Scott, which I think was good, but I think it's just a comment on how close he and the guys feel to Dan. I'm not sure we've heard it said, we've heard it guys talk about it, but I think this really speaks to that. And if Cal didn't feel great about Dan Wilson as his manager, this is probably a different conversation that we're having. So I think that's part of it. And I love Dan so much, but yeah, Cal's the best catcher in Mariners history. It's pretty easy for me.
I think Dan would tell you that too.
I
Like,
think he would. I think he would. And loved Mikey Z as well.
oh, don't, my
Loved
dad will
Mikey
hear
Z.
this.
I gotta
No,
throw Mikey Z in there. He's my guy. It's not even close. It's not close.
no.
Oh, calm down.
I'll never forget. We went to a game when I was young. Oh, that'll make you feel old. There you go.
That did. Thank you for that.
Um, and the bases were loaded. I hated Mike Zunino growing up. I hated how much he struck out. Little did young me know what I was in for. Um, Bases were loaded, and my father goes, "He's gonna hit a grand slam." I said, "No, he's not." I said, "Absolutely not." I watched that ball leave the ballpark so fast.
Yeah, I bet you did. Love that. Yeah, your dad
It was
has good
terrible.
taste. Yeah, your dad knows ball.
God damn it. Well, didn't think I'd have to talk about Mike Zunino today. And Mike seemed like a fun guy. I'll say that. So yeah, no, I mean this is pretty remarkable. I will say I've always understood, since we started actually covering the Mariners during the 2022 season. Um, I understand the frustration because I've lived it. I just told you about
Yeah.
Mike fucking Zanino,
Yeah,
right?
for real.
Like
For real.
we've all lived it here.
Yeah.
Um, but I've always wanted to believe in more. Brittany's heard it. Brittany's heard my optimism. Um, so I don't know. Maybe this is that. I don't know. Some people go, maybe them not having sold out opening day yet. So I don't know if not selling out opening day makes you spend $105 million. But if that's the case, sure, keep doing it because I've been told opposite that they won't do it. They won't care if fans do that. So maybe it was the Humpy plushies that they've been selling at $35.
It's gotta be it. $35, excuse me?
Yes. Yes. Yep. That's how they paid for Cal. Duh.
Good Lord. That
Yeah.
really threw me off. I can't believe there's
I
$35 for
went
a
and looked
plushie.
yesterday
For a
after the
fish plushie.
I went down and I said, "Oh, hey, it's Humpy." Oh no, never mind. Put him down. Put him down. Put him down.
Good Lord.
So,
No, but they do have to keep going. Like
yeah,
this can't be,
it.
well, it can be, but they should keep going. This is structured in a way where they have to get Logan next.
Oh yeah, and I think the biggest point, you make a lot of good points, but the biggest, most notable point to me that you've made is Cal Raleigh's not an idiot. Like he doesn't do. I don't know why I got hiccups. He doesn't do this unless he believes in what's going on, especially as a guy who, after
Yeah,
the 23 season, was super vocal. Everybody knows about that. Um, like I don't think he does that because I've heard things about, folks thinking he was going to play in Boston when he was done because he idolized Jason Varitek, right?
totally
So
bought that narrative.
stuff like that. You've
Yeah,
got, as much as Luis was shopped, you've got a guy like Luis who is would be more than a top guy in a bunch of rotations. We've got obviously Julio locked up. You know, they could go further with Randy. I always forget Andres is under contract for the next several years.
that
You know,
is a
they,
scary team friendly deal. I almost feel bad for
oh
him.
yeah,
I
that's
kind of,
looking at the deal last year. I was like, does he know?
I know he signed it a little too early, probably.
Um, you know, yeah, and you've got all of those other guys in the rotation behind Luis playing on extremely friendly deals.
Yeah,
So, and then there's the crop of infielders that you've got in the prospect pool that will come up at
exactly.
some point. So,
Yeah.
um, I know I got to get you out here, Brittany. Is there anything that we didn't touch on that you'd want to touch on before we get going and we get extremely close to opening day?
No, I think that's it. I think this is a huge win. And as conditioned as Mariners fans are, myself included, to assuming negative and expecting negative, this is a positive, and I would just really encourage everyone to embrace it for what it is. It's a win. Let's enjoy it. We don't get many of them.
No, no. I wouldn't, yeah. I wouldn't make a habit of getting used to this. That would be greed. That would be getting spoiled. Lord knows we don't do that. All right.
No spoiled fans here.
Jesus, that's a callback. Oh, Jeffrey. And then him being, what was it, a year or a few months later, he was like, I understand now. I get
Did
it.
I ever tell you he DM'd me after that whole thing?
I did. I don't remember that. No.
Yeah, I had a nice long conversation with Jeff Passan. It was actually uh we talked about journalism school and just like it turned into this whole thing. What a guy. Like best of the best. I'm so glad he's in baseball and not in
I had
basketball.
time to go and search for it. I could show you my photo with him at All-Star Week. Well, I'm taller than him. I didn't know he was that short.
Not not hard
Then
to
a
do.
week later, he got hit by a tree.
Yeah. Yeah, oh God.
That was so weird. So, yeah, that'll get us out of here. I don't expect anything by tomorrow. I really don't, but I don't know. I didn't expect this either. So,
Never know.
I don't know. Like I said at the beginning, it only made sense for me to talk catcher with a catcher. So, we could make that a series. Hmm. We'll see. Anyway, until we see you next time, until we see opening day, and start the long slog that is the MLB season. I'm already tired.
Let's go.
Oh,
Let's go.
take care of yourselves. Be well. Do whatever you can to make today great.
Hey, Charles.
Hey, Jen.
Hey, how about those M's?
Oh, I'm excited.
I know. Where are you going to watch all those away games, though?
Away games. Huh. I was thinking of coming here since, after all, Rough and Tumble is the home of Circling Seattle Sports.
I love that idea. Hope to see y'all here.